Uh, Buongiorno, hello, come stai? How are you? Uh, my name is Donaldo Telo. Your teacher, Dr. Lob-EZ, he asked me, he my cousin, uh, he he asked me to, stand in for him today because he is a very busy man, and he wanted me because I come from Roma. Uh, Perhaps he think I could help him teach you about the subject, uh, the Renaissance. Well, as it is, today we are supposed to talk about the Northern Renaissance. So that means everything north of the Alps, like in, France and what today well, it was called the Low Countries, but today we call that would be like, Belgium or the Netherlands, parts of northern Germany, which was back then called the Holy Roman Empire. And then also to be included would be, uh, England, right? Okay, very good. One thing that I should say before we begin is that there are some slight differences between the Northern Renaissance and the Italian Renaissance. And that is that how in Italy the merchants like the Medici were the patrons of the arts? Well, they are. Uh-oh, what happened to my head? Why is so I had to stop the video for a second. I don't know if you could notice, but I could not see myself on the PowerPoint slide. So anyway, I believe I was talking about the differences, like the Medici being the patrons of the arts. One major difference with the Northern Renaissance was that the monarchs oftentimes were the patrons instead of merchants, and that is because they had the more wealth, and that Italy was not a united country, so they didn't have kings in the first place. So that is one major difference. Another is that the Northern Renaissance was much more Christian, and what that mean is non-secular. Okay, and also not so much in the art, but with the writing, the authors tended to focus more on something like reform of people and institutions. Okay, va bene. That means okay, fine. Um, yes, and those authors are called Christian humanists. Christian humanists, and as I say, they like to focus on the reform of society, and yeah, they like the classics, yeah, and we know that means ancient Greece and Roma, but they also like classical, if you will. Well, maybe not the right word. How about ancient Christianity? Yes, they like that better because it was more simple, meaning religion did not get yet complicated by too many, different interpretations of this and that, and not so many ideas on a complex theology. I don't know if that make any sense to you, but it don't to me either. But I say it anyway. Yeah, it's a right here. These early church fathers of Augustine and Ambrose and Jerome. These are early century or early Christian fathers. Many of them a couple of them were popes. Augustine was not, but he was like a scholar who come up with the idea of original sin and the idea that you must be baptized to get rid of the sin if you want to avoid, going to what they say, limbo. And he also talked about, which is important for us to know, is that the concept of salvation is not something that one can earn. He focused more on it being based on faith, that God sent his only bambino, Jesus, to die for the sins of all mankind. Okay, and so those were some of the ideas that these Christian humanists wanted to focus upon, and thought that that should be the focus of Christian instruction. And so they thought schools and education was very important. Okay, va bene. Next slide. This man, Johanna Gutenberg, he not a Christian humanist. What he is an inventor. He make the printing press. Yeah, you see that wooden illustration in the top right. It's above my head. It actually was made from a vino, I mean, not vino, what's the wine, a wine press. Anyway, but it's not used to make wine, it's used to make the books. Okay, and this invention that come around 1440 was very important to the spread of the books. Yeah, because before they write them by hand. The old bald-headed monks in the monasteries used to write the books by hand, and that is, very time-consuming. They say it would take well over a year to copy by hand maybe more than that, maybe like 2, 3 years to copy the Bible, which, was the most important book back then, because everybody wanted to go to heaven and not the hot place, hell. Anyway, so this man make this printing press so that you can speed up the process of how to make the books, okay? I think Dr. Lob-EZ include in this PowerPoint some pictures of the books or how they be made. I show you in just un momento. Anyway, importante, I don't know what in the heck all of these boxes are, but they got numbers in them. I hope you know what they mean. Dr. Lob-EZ said something about a study guide. I don't know, but they look crazy. But he said that you would know what these things are. I don't know. He is an old man, Dr. Lob-EZ, and sometimes he do not make too much of sense. But he's my cousin, and I love him very much. So, I just pat him on the head, and I don't pay any attention to half of the things he say. I bet that's a lot like you, right? You probably don't listen to that man when he talk, right? Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what. Oh, this right here. Important effect of the printing press is that the books, since they're more numerous, less expensive, yeah, and so they're cheaper, so more books available to people, and people know how to read better, so that is what they call an increase in literacy. So that is helpful. And then also something that is missing here is that the spread of ideas be made much more easy. Oh, look at this. I like these illustrations and graphics that show how they make the books back then. You see that? I think my head is in the way. How about I move it over here, huh? Okay. So yeah, it's if it take 5 months to write, is that the five? I think that, yeah, that says 5 months to write a book by hand. A book printer, printing press could make that many, 500 books in 5 months. Okay, so much more fast. Molto rapido is, I believe, what we say. Okay, I put my head back here. Let's go to the next slide. Yes, do you know what this is? It was the most popular book of the time. No, it's not a paperweight. You don't use the books to keep your papers from flying away. That might be what you do, but they have books for information, you know. This is the original copy of the Gutenberg Bible. That was the first book that he sold. If you look over here again, my big head is in the way, so I move it over here. You can see that over time, the printing press spread very fast all over Europe from 1450 to 1500. It increased rapidly, very fast across Europe. Okay, yes. Va bene. I'm sorry, mi dispiace. My English is not too good. You know what I say? Okay, so this man, look at this man right here. His name is Desiderius Erasmus. That's a mouthful, so we just call him Erasmus. He is the most important of the Christian humanists, okay? And he come from, it's a island. You know, when I say the Netherlands, that's the same thing. We talk, oh, not we, you and Dr. Lob-EZ talk about these people, the brothers of the common life. In an earlier chapter, he said that these are people who were very interested in being more pious, meaning closer to God. And they felt that the leadership of the church was not focused on spirituality so much. So they started their own little, you know, club. And these brothers of the common life spread all over Northern Europe, and they were very interested in the educations, right? Okay, va bene. So he was one of them for a while, at least. And then, oops, let's go to the next slide. Okay, yeah, you know, so he was a devout Christian himself, and he developed a concept known as the philosophy of Christ. It's so important for the time because, you know, he was concerned that the Catholic Church, you know, throughout the Middle Ages had lost sight of the original intent of the Catholic Church. And it had gotten to the point where they were emphasizing the wrong things, okay? So everything was sort of external, like on the outside, meaning people, the way that they showed that they were faithful was by doing certain tasks, okay? Like going to church, which, you know, that's important and all, but people attended other functions and thought that that was just because that they go, that is supposed to show that they are religious. And so for him, he thought it was too much on the outside, and instead your faith is more on the inside, like what you have in your heart, the love and the faith that you have for Jesus, okay? And there was another thing, like going on pilgrimages, conducting fasts, and the veneration of the saints and the relics. I don't think Dr. Lob-EZ teach you about this. It's kind of a lengthy explanation, this word, this like phrase right here. So why don't you ask him? I don't feel like, I don't have much time, so I don't feel like getting into all of that. Maybe Dr. Lob-EZ will tell you about that someday if you're nice to him. But anyway, as I was mumbling about a moment ago, these are the examples of the outward ways in which people express their faith. And he say, you know, we have to, focus more on what the Bible say and more prayer and reflection and maybe imitating the life of Jesus, you know. Of course you can do things like help with the poor because that was a central message of Jesus of Nazareth, but doing all of these other things like fasting and going on pilgrimages that do not make you necessarily a good Christian. And he felt that that was the focus and less so on faith and like internal prayer, huh? And understanding of the Bible, which if that is the word of God, it would be a good idea, I think, to know what it say. Yeah. Okay. I don't, again, I hope you know what these things are. I don't know. It looks crazy. So I'm not really sure why they are there, but like Dr. Lob-EZ say that you would know. Okay, something else that he do because he knew that it was very important for people to read the Bible. He was not so sure that the Bible was 100% accurate because it was written in Latin and it was translated from Greek. And since he was an expert, okay, because he was classically educated, he knew ancient Greek. So he went back and retranslated the official Bible known as the Vulgate, and he found that there were many errors. And so he corrected them and offered the Catholic Church, which they accepted, a new Latin translation with those corrections made. So that was important, I think, for the people. He writes another book, and this is on the next slide. It's called In the Praise of Folly. In the Praise of Folly is a book that he wrote. Again, my big head. I'll move it there this time. Okay. So Erasmus wrote this book, and this is not what you would think. It's not a serious, really, okay, it's a satire, okay? And so satire means comedy, and it make people laugh, kind of like that Saturday Night Live that you have here in the USA. Um, yeah, I know. You probably don't know. It's not very good anymore. Back in the olden days, it was very funny. They had much funnier people. But yeah, that is an example of satire. So what you do in the satire is you make fun of people and their habits. Why you do that, it's for entertainment value. But underneath all of that, it's very serious because you are addressing perhaps societal things that need to be changed, huh? And so in this book, to get people to buy it, he make it funny, okay, make people laugh. And then he also includes some, criticisms of the people, all walks of life, okay? And yeah, I think in the last slide it said that. Yeah, okay, so he thought it was important to criticize, oh yeah, the abuses of the Catholic Church. And so he especially take aim at them. And one group in particular were the monks, or I think were called friars in some countries, and he make fun of the fact that they don't really understand scriptures and the things that they value that make them think that they are holy or close to God really don't make no sense at all, okay? And that many of them were big and fat because they eat too much and drink too much of beer or wine, right? And that is probably not something a holy man should do. Okay. So anyway, the word folly actually was a person in the book, but it means foolishness. And part of the title means he in society, people tend to celebrate foolishness. Yes, this is true, especially in this country. They make not one, not two, not three, but four uh, uh, movies called The Jackass, where a group of silly men blow themselves up for you to laugh at. I think that's kind of same, no? Okay, next, another humanist author. His name is Thomas More, and he come from England, and he write a book called Utopia, which means both ideal place today, but back then it mean nowhere, and it kind of mean the same thing because there is no such thing as an ideal place, utopia. But that's the name of the book, and it written at a time when many people sail across the Atlantic to the new world and make new discoveries. And so his book is fictional, and it's based on a man who sailed across the Atlantic and find this island, this perfect island, and then he come back and tell everybody in England what he find. And in this island, there is no such thing as a vice, meaning human sinfulness. I'm moving my head again. Okay, so you can see this box and arrow, I guess. He say that in this island there is no sinfulness, and it come boiled down to the fact that there is no human property, meaning everybody share everything. So he not necessarily advocating anything like, that guy man, bad man, that man, what is his name? You learn about him later this year. His name is Karl Marx, that man who was the father of communism. Thomas More not advocating for the, destruction or that you get rid of private property. He just saying that because they don't have it, because they don't have property, there's no such thing as greed. And if there's no greed, then there's no sin or crime. Okay. And so he just saying that in his own country, England, people too greedy, and they too materialistic. And he said that if we want to do better, this book might give us a good reminder of, how to focus on those things that are more important in life. Okay? Okay. Bye-bye. Next. Okay, let's talk about the artists. Again, I must move my head. I don't know. It's in the way. Okay, first I tell you the guy that we talk about. His name is Jan van Eyck. Eyck. Jan van Eyck. He is a Flemish. No joke intended there. Eyck. Sound like phlegm to me. He's Flemish. No, that means he comes from Flanders. It's northeastern Europe, modern day country of Belgium. He painted this painting right here we're going to talk about. It's the Arnofini Wedding. And just in case you don't know, this is Dr. Lob-EZ's favorite painting. No, it's not. What do you say? The Pietà? No. Yeah, that is his. Yeah, Dr. Lob-EZ liked the Pietà too. What? Yeah, but that's a sculpture, you big dummy. He liked the he liked this is a painting. You see, there's a difference. Okay, I don't mean you a dummy. I'm just playing. Okay, so this painting, the Arnolfini Wedding, is his favorite for many reasons. Oh, okay, now you can see. Okay, there are this man and his wife. Hold on, my son is coming in. Hold on. Okay, Dr. Lob-EZ's son come in. Oh, you're not very smart either, Henry, based on your grades. Okay. So, yeah, this painting is, let me go back right here, is a painting of the wedding. Okay. Now, this couple getting married. Okay. And everybody say, oh, yeah, oh, there's a big scandal. Yes, because look right here. What does everybody think? They think she's a pregnant. What do you call it? The baby bump. No, she's not the pregnant. She just holding her dress up because it's so long. But the man is marrying the woman. Okay, what's missing? There's no priest, right? But this come before the day that you have to have a priest do the wedding, but you have to have witnesses. And I'm telling you right now, there are witnesses in this painting. Where? No, it's not the dog, silly. It's the people in the background. We'll look and I'll show you in just a second. But this Make sure you know that they use the oil-based paints because of all of the different rich colors, and there is the chiaroscuro. You can see the shadowing and the light and such. And he also, he's using a single hair brush. How do you know? Because he painted the fur on the animal, on the doggy, and then on his fancy coat. Okay, what else? The man appeared to be blessing the woman. That's like how we know that it is a wedding. And then there's another feature, okay? Up here, a single candle is burning. Maybe they too poor to light more candles. No, they're wealthy because he got fur coat. The reason why there's only one candle paint lit is that because it symbolizes the coming together of the two souls. When you get married, they make it the one. That's what the Catholic Church believe. They say that the marriage is a sacrament. We'll talk more about that later. But the doggy in the painting, it also show the fidelity, which when you get married, you make a vow to, be true to your spouse. So that is a quality for a successful marriage. No? Okay. Va bene, we go. I don't know what is there. Okay. Now I told you there is the people in the background. Yes, right here. You can see the witnesses in the mirror. And one is in blue, and then the other is in red. And you see the backs of the couple too. Okay, and so this man, he make a painting of a mirror to show what new innovation. I'll wait for you to answer. It's called, yes, that's right, linear perspective. No? Yes, it's masterful. So it's very clever way to do that. And then also he show a feature of what we call individuality, which is a sub-theme of the Renaissance. He signed his name. Do you see that? Isn't that neat? Yes, it is. Okay, so that is Jan van Eyck and the Arnofini Wedding. Let's go to the next slide, and this one is by a man named Albrecht Dürer. He is a German painter and artist. This is not a painting. This is called the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and it is a woodcut, a little bit different. Um, and I am going to skip it because you don't need to. I don't think know so much about it. We will go to another one of Albrecht Dürer's paintings, and this is in fact a painting. It is called a self-portrait. So I'm assuming you know that that is how that man looked. Okay, and right here in the notes it say that he, as an artist, studied the work of Leonardo da Vinci and was influenced by the Mona Lisa. Does that kind of look like a Mona Lisa? Well, it's a full upper torso bust or a portrait, not a bust. The bust gets cut off of here, and like a Mona Lisa, he included the hands. What is this right there? Can you see that? It looks like an A with a little D in the side. That is his initials. Albrecht Dürer has more or less signed this painting. So again, that show what is the word? That's right, individuality. Okay, let's go to the next slide. There's nowhere for my head. I must go over here. Okay, Peter Bruegel the Elder. This is a famous painting called the Peasant Wedding. Okay, and what you see is a scene, an everyday, well, not everyday scene. It's a wedding, so that don't happen every day, but it is, we can consider it a leisure. Although there is leisure, taking place, it is it is giving us insight into the way that ordinary common people like peasants live their lives. Okay, and historians like Peter Bruegel, the Elder's paintings, because it helps them piece together the way that the common people lived. They know how the rich and powerful lived, but They don't know so much about how the little people lived, so paintings like this were rather useful, okay? One thing to note about this painting is there are people of a variety of different classes included. Most everybody here is a peasant or a commoner. There might be some artisans in there, but over here in the corner, right here, is this is like a noble. He's wearing a fur jacket. So he is wealthy, and then this is some kind of clergyman. Okay, so people of different walks of life interacting with each other. That is a common feature of his work. I want to show you one more. Okay, so this is like the feast day of Saint George. And oh my gosh, I'm going to have to move my head once again. Okay, so this is a drawing of a celebration in that take place in Europe. Okay, and this is a common thing. So people gather together for a feast day, which means it's like people come together to celebrate the birthday of or the day that some important saint died. Okay, and there is a like religious activity that takes place, and then afterwards there is a celebration, and this I think it's an illustration. I mean, a drawing. I'm not sure. It could be painting. I don't know, but it show all the everyday people celebrating life. Lots of peasants and such. He did so many paintings about the peasants and common folk that he was given the nickname the Peasant Brugle. Instead of Peter Bruegel, it was Peasant Bruegel. But one thing you can see, and that you know it's a modern Renaissance painting because there's linear perspective. Yeah, it's hard to see, but things are getting smaller in the background, so we know that that is present. We also, as I said, everyday life of the commoners. This is leisure activity, and there is a mixing of different social classes. Okay, and there is this man. Look, he's like rolling around with this other man. I think it's because they are drunk. And that was a also another common feature in these paintings of Peter Bruegel is that the common folk frequently, when they got together for leisure time, they drank the alcohol, maybe sometimes too much, and that is why St. George's feast day was limited to one day instead of a week because there was too much drunken silliness. So the Holy Roman Emperor at the time, his name was Charles V, he changed it to just one day. And I think in this sign, on this ribbon or whatever, there is inscribed a message that says, let the peasants hold the kermis, which is the name also of the like celebration that was not religious. So it was kind of the combination also of religious and secular holidays together. Okay. And as I said, also make sure you know that there is a mixing of social classes. Typically, that does not happen, but during leisure times like these festivals or feast days, that was important. Not important, but it took place. Okay, so I think that's the last slide for me to do with you. I want to say grazie. Grazie mille. Thank you very much for allowing me to spend some time with you. Dr. Lob-EZ talks very highly of you, and he says you're all very smart. And so maybe one more time I do a video for him, but I don't know. It just depends. If you like me, tell Dr. Lob-EZ, and he will have me do another one. But until then, ciao.